Fletcher. They asked me, I'm on the, I'm one of the managing directors of the commercial group in Portland, Maine. And I'm on the ALC since I came to KW about 5 years ago. I've been on the ALC. I've been in real estate for 25 years. I started when I was 6. I'm kidding. I started when I was 23. Been in real estate for 25 years. Started out in residential with a commercial desire. Worked on investment real estate, mostly multifamilies early in my career. And have been with agencies like Coldwell Banker, Better Homes and Gardens, Real Estate, and then an independent commercial company before finding my permanent home at Keller Williams. I love this company. I love everything that it gives us. And I really do enjoy the fact that we're really a training company that dabbles in real estate. So if you want to be a better person over the course of time, I think you found the right home. They asked me to chat with you briefly for a couple of hours this morning on lead generation. It's something that I'm relatively passionate about, so it was an easy yes. So I'm hoping that I can get away with a little bit of nuggets for you guys. I'll throw up my contact information into the chat box. If there's anything that I can help you with after, don't hesitate to reach out. My co-host, co-trainer on this is Jordan St Loren. And he is an assistant team leader, and I'll turn it over to him to talk about who he is and why he's on this call.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. And I really believe in this company. I started when I was 22, 23 years old, been an agent for KW Maine for 12 years and had shifted my focus to leadership. It was always something I was really interested in. So Jordan St. Loren, I live in Yarmouth, Maine, lived here my whole life. I'm a Maine boy, love fishing. I love hunting. I love selling real estate. And it's a great opportunity to meet everybody here. I'm partial to the new agent. I coach and consult with a lot of agents at any level of production, yet starting out in real estate is really special to me. So I commend everybody for being here, and hopefully we can share some good information. I also the point man for Kevin Fletcher and the commercial division here at KW Maine, as well as a bunch of other committees, but commercial is my favorite. Commercial is my favorite. I love you guys. So that's enough about me. Let's dive right into this stuff.
He is also a slinger of. He certainly likes to tell everybody what they like to hear. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, here I'll show you. Let me see here. I got I don't know if I can even share it, but I've got 5 children, and I've been married to my wife Erica. She's also in real estate. She's the director of operations for a mega team here in Portland, Domain Real Estate. So I was going to show you a picture of the beautiful family, but I assure you they're cute and bubbly. So 4 girls, 1 boy. So wish me luck, please. Take it away, Kevin.
Take it away. All right, I'm going to share screen here. And is everybody okay with seeing what I'm supposed to read on the bottom, or should I make that go away, Jordan?
Yeah, go to the top. Go all the way to the top. You see that? A little higher to the left. Go left, right, there. Bingo.
Perfect.
Champion. You're a champion.
All right. So we are here today to talk about lead generation and the fact that it's the core of your business. Does anybody really dispute the fact that you can do business without lead generating? Or think that you can do business without lead generating? I don't believe you can. So if you want to, there's 2 aspects in anybody's business, and part of that is growing your business. And then part of it is running the business that you've created. In our business, when we're trying to grow, we need to lead generate for buyers and sellers, make our listing presentations and get listings, and make buyer presentations and get buyer listings. And then we go out and preview real estate. On running our business, we, if we do happen to get a listing, one of our agents chimed in and said she just put her first listing under contract. In order to do that, she had to market the property. If you're working with buyers, you got to go show buyers a house or real estate. I mean, they're not going to buy if you don't show it to them. Negotiate contracts, and then manage the transactions from the time it goes under contract to actually get to closing. Manage all the vendors, the home inspections, the appraisers, the closing agents, all of that stuff that's fun. Then there's this whole setting goals and working towards driving your dreams, compliance and risk management. As Jordan talked about, attend training and get coaching. Jordan, you want to talk a little bit about some of the training that you're doing with scripts and role plays and training in PC?
Yeah, sure. So here's the secret, guys. Here's the secret to being a successful real estate agent. There really isn't any sort of hidden secret. Success leaves clues, so we know exactly how success looks. And so how we find that is through top agents and through the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that Gary Keller wrote, where he talked to top agents all over the country who were netting $1 million plus in real estate. And what they all had in common was part of their top 20% activities that produced 80% of the results was training, scripts and role play, preparing for the day. And every day from 9:30 to 10, I host a real estate dialogue and conversation training. And so we just go in there, we typically have a topic, but a lot of times it kind of goes off the rails because we get about 16 to 20 agents that show up. We've started to do that in person again, which is, I think, much more impactful. And it's just talking about an objection that might have come up in the field, whether it was, hey, really love that presentation that you put together. Thanks for all your time. We just kind of have to think about it. So if somebody says that to us as a new agent, we might feel like, okay, great, thanks for your time. Yet what's going to happen is they're going to list with another agent, whether it's a buyer or a seller, they will list with another agent. And when they say something like, I'm just not ready, we have to think about it, we need to ask good questions and find out what the objection is. And through that conversation piece, we find out that it wasn't that they had to think about it, it's that they had talked to another broker and the other broker said that they do it for less commission. So we could dive into that all we wanted. I could talk till I'm blue in the face, yet there's no reason to just walk away from a business opportunity. And sometimes people just need to be asked the right questions, because spontaneity is a conditioned reflex. So conditioning is like exercise. So training and doing your scripts, doing your role play, finding a role play partner before you start lead generating, just to kind of get the wheels moving a little bit, grease the gears. We have to condition the reflex because we need to know exactly what we're going to say. One, to close business. Two, we're in the service industry. And if we know what we're going to say, we're listening more and we're not thinking about what we have to say. We already know what we're going to say. So training is a key component to your daily activities.
I'm going to give you, this is just my teaching style. So anytime I say something that I think is a nugget, I'm going to tell you to write it down. So here's a little nugget for you. In my general opinion, after 25 years in the business, the objections that people will throw at you, though worded differently every single time, there's only about 4 or 5 or 6 objections, period. They may be worded a little bit differently, but there's really only about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 objections. And the sooner that you can learn those objections and get to the emotions that they're giving behind it, usually it's a fear-based or a fear of loss or a fear of something, or an uncertainty. Anytime that you can drive in and get to that, it's going to be easier to overcome those objections the sooner you learn them.
Spontaneously. spontaneously.
Script and role play will help. get you there.
Ignite. This is a good start.
All right, so kind of like converting this from the previous slide to, you know, a transition in your business. You know, you're going to hear throughout throughout Ignite and throughout the start of your career, the concept of lead generation and managing your database. That's going to create a pipeline of sales. Does everybody understand the correlation between, you know, your lead generation, your database, to then creation of sales and pipeline, to what we're all really in the business for, which is closing deals and making money. And you do that, you know, it becomes easier when you kind of create those daily success habits like Jordan was talking about. Time blocking your lead generation. There's a book out there called Eat the Frog. If anybody's ever read that, Eat the Frog. It talks about tackling the hardest part of the day early in the day when you've got the most amount of energy.
And I would add to that, Kevin, and say that sometimes there's more than one frog to eat, right? So which one do we go with? The big one first.
Right.
Eat the big frog first, then the rest of the day is smooth. You don't want to keep that stuff until the end of the day, because we're most productive when we're most productive. So do it first.
So since I've been at Keller Williams, it's been about 5 years. There's been really two things that I've seen that have really, I would say, blown me away. Okay. One of them is what's on the screen right now, which is this lead generation model. It's such a simplistic drawing, but really does indicate, from my perspective, the process of a real estate career. The other one was the opportunity section inside of Command. And I'm not going to talk about that, but I will just, you can make a little note that says, hey, he talked about the opportunity section of Command. If you understand the opportunity section inside of Command and this, you'll understand the real estate business. So there's so many analogies about sales that talk about planting seeds and harvesting, and different analogies about it. But really, if you understand the concept that at the top of your sales funnel, you've got your prospecting and marketing, and you're trying to drive a vast number of people at the top and then filter them down through it to get an appointment, create an active property or buyer, put them under contract and get to close. It's such a simplistic understanding, but there's going to be more at the top, and then you're going to funnel them down through with your daily activities to get to an appointment, to get to an active listing, to get under contract and to close a deal.
So how's everybody feeling so far, by the way? Does anybody have any questions? Everybody feeling good? Not all at once. Look, Maureen's nodding her head. She's going like this. Yep. He covered it. What do you guys think that you might already know about this lead generation model? So after looking at it, does anybody have a good understanding of what lead generation is supposed to look like? Has anybody seen this before? Anybody could just kind of shout your answer out, put it in the chat. We've got somebody monitoring that. But does anybody feel like they have a good understanding of what 3 hours of lead generation would look like? You know, because today's focus for the Spark session is all lead generation. I think if we could put a count on, we've probably already hit 50 times where we've used lead generation, which is just so important. That really is our business. We're professional communicators, so that's why we talk about scripts and role play.
Does anybody have any ideas or thoughts regarding how they're lead generating or ways to lead generate, or any questions around lead generation? Because I'll give you guys a prime example. I lead generated this morning already when I put my contact information in the chat box. So I'm in commercial real estate in the state of Maine. If you have a referral, who should you think about?
Kevin Fletcher. Did I get it right?
You did.
Oh, yes. Finally
Right,
got that one
So I
right.
mean, it sounds simplistic to say, but that's lead generation.
Hey, Kevin, man, how's it going? How was your ski trip the other week? Was it good? Was it a good one?
Oh, I tore it up.
Oh man, I bet you did. Hey, look, so I've got my real estate hat on right now. I only had a couple minutes. Do you have like a couple seconds to talk? Is this a good time?
Sure.
Great. Hey, the market's insane right now. I want to partner up with you. I know I can count on you. Hey, who do you know that I could call right now that's thinking about buying or selling real estate that would appreciate the same level of service that I provide? Like that time that we got together on that deal,
Maureen
right?
McKenna.
That level. Who can I call right now?
Maureen McKenna.
Great. Hey, what could you shoot me a text with her number? Okay.
You got it.
Sweet. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, bud.
See you. So I think I asked Whitney to put a link for the scripts and role play. Well, the real estate dialogue and conversations. I got to get used to that, Kevin. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Real estate dialogues. It's KW Maine, real estate dialogues and conversations. Each and every one of you is welcome to come and hang out with us in that chat. What Kevin and I did just there, that's what we do every day. So please come to my class.
I want to just give a couple of examples because I think that people resonate with examples. And I can't see the chat box. So if there's anything that we need to chat about in the chat box, please just chime in. But one of the greatest examples that I can give you regarding nurturing business, right, is I had a deal 3 or 4 years ago that I sold a company, a listing of mine. It was a big warehouse. And I'll throw the numbers out there, not only for the sake of giving you an example, but the warehouse was listed for $1.8 million. And my buyer bought the warehouse. So, and I was a solo broker. And I listed their building for $750,000, and I was the solo broker of that deal. So 2 big deals, a really significant size of commission payday between the 2 sales from 1 client. That's great from a marketing perspective. What nobody sees is that I worked with that client for 17 years. Anytime he needed free advice, real estate information, a showing of a property that I knew he probably wasn't going to buy, I showed it to him. And he called me up when he was actually ready to go, and I sold him the real estate. That's a case of nurturing and cultivation right here. Okay, I just signed the listing agreement on Monday that I sent the gentleman the listing agreement last August. He didn't sign it. I worked with him over the first 3 or 4 months of the fall. He still didn't sign it. Then he kind of went MIA, and he messaged me out of the blue last week and said, I'm ready to go. That's a case of cultivation and getting lucky because I stopped calling him. But that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that are interested in selling or buying, creating an opportunity, right? So everybody look at Command to talk about opportunity section inside of Command. Anytime somebody says anything that can relate to an opportunity for you to make money, that's an opportunity. And so we're putting people at the top of the funnel, then we're cultivating them.
You know, that reminds me of a great story. So I'm hanging out with an agent at our office, Davian, over the weekend, and he had a customer, a client, I should say, and a big ticket client, and they were looking for something specific, and he saw a $2.6 million commercial apartment building, and it just kind of came across his screen, and he just forwarded the information onto this guy and said, would you be interested in that? And he says, yes. So they're under contract. That's going to be a $90,000 payday for Davian because of that cultivation. So Kevin, there was a question in the chat, which was about willingly referring business. And that's a really good question. So I could answer that in two pieces. That was from Ian. Now, Kevin and I were role playing, right? I'm guessing that's where that question came from. So when I called Kevin, it was we were playing. It was an imaginary conversation. So, however, so to answer that question, people are completely willing to share referrals. Obviously, calling people who are not in real estate, yes, they want to be a part of success. It's really valuable to them to share a referral. And again, this isn't scripts and role play. In the future, I'd love for you to come and meet with me, because we do have conversations about communicating with our database and reminding them on a regular basis how they can succeed in getting a referral. I have lots of clients in my past that I've been very successful for, and they want to give me referrals. And you have to teach people how to treat you. So sometimes those phone calls are just, how's the kids? How's the dog? Great. Got my real estate hat on. I'd love to get a referral from you. Do you know anybody? I gave your card out 3 weeks ago. Well, I never heard from them, right? Would you like for those people to get a hold of me so they get great service? Because in a weak moment, if they don't meet me, they might end up working with a weak broker and they could lose money. The people you care about. So there is that conversation piece of, yes, people want to give referrals. Now, if that was Kevin Fletcher and I was contacting him, or he called me and said, hey, you know any commercial stuff that's going on? I've sold a lot of commercial real estate, and the biggest skill I have as a commercial real estate broker is knowing that I'm not a commercial real estate broker. I love making some income from it, but I would contact somebody who totally understands that business, because in commercial real estate, it's a whole different animal, Kevin. He'll tell you. You're not looking at MLS, you're looking at thousands of dollars a month in the search engines that commercial investors are looking in. It's a whole different thing. And so connecting with Kevin, here's a good story. Melanie Crane, one of our top agents, she's in our top 10% out of a market center of over 570 agents. She's a mega agent, and she had a $1.5 million commercial opportunity. That comes from the lead generation. How's it going? How's the wife? How's the dogs? How's the kids? Right? Sweet. Got my real estate hat on. Who do you know that I could call right now? And sometimes people will say, I've got a commercial person. I don't know if you do commercial. And Melanie says, yeah, of course. So she connected with Kevin. They put it on the market. 5 days later, it closes. What was that commission check? She's
5 days
all
later, it went under contract. It didn't close yet, but it's a good point. But you can have residential to residential referrals. You can feel outside of your comfort zone or outside of your belief of fiduciary to your client if it's outside of your normal standard of practice anywhere. Residential, land, commercial, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's a good question too. So Ian asked another question about referrals. So great. As a realtor, as a licensed real estate agent, okay, if you have a referral, if I met the guys who owned KW Vietnam the other day. I mean, how cool is that? Those guys were traveling to Orlando for family reunion, and they stopped at the Portland Market Center here. I got to talk to those guys. If I had a referral and somebody was moving to Vietnam, somebody was moving out to Vermont, wherever it is, and you have a license, you can refer that client to that real estate agent. And in exchange, they'll give you 25, 30% of the GCI, the total gross commission income. That's off the top. And that it's negotiable, right, Kevin? I mean, I could ask for 40, but this whole business is negotiation. That's why the practice and the role play is so important, because you're negotiating from day one to the 11th hour. And that hopefully that answered your question, Ian. The referral fee is great. I send referrals on a regular basis because I work with a lot of people from out of state, and people love New England. So there's a good chance. And that's why you want to start communicating with other realtors all over the country. Any chance you get to go to a family reunion, mega camp, any sort of networking opportunities, you want to make sure that they know that you're the guy or the girl that they want to be calling if they have somebody that needs a vacation home or a second home, or they're relocating to your area.
So Jordan, is it fair to say that the vast majority of the people on this call are relatively newer agents?
I like to treat these just like I treat a listing presentation. So I'm going to answer that question by saying yes. However, you kind of gave me an aha to share since we're talking about leads, because what happens with a lead, right? Kevin, what do they want to do next? They want to set an appointment, and then you
Right.
got to present. You're going to interview for the job, basically. And so I always like to start those conversations with Mr., Mrs. Seller, or whatever. I'm going to communicate with you as if you've never sold a piece of real estate in your life. So please bear with me. Okay, please bear with me. I'm going to talk to you as if you have no idea about any of this process. However, it's important that I tell you about my entire process, my strategies, and my service. If it doesn't apply, let it fly, right?
All right.
And that's the best way for me to communicate with you.
So I'm
And
going
you
to
might
ask
learn something
everybody.
new.
And I think you have more experienced agents on this call than, I mean, most of them are probably new, but I always join these and I've been in 20 years.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Laura. So I'm going to ask everybody to take a quick poll inside the chat and show up the number of contacts they have inside their database. And so I want to talk about the start, and we focused in on the start of the sales funnel, which is prospecting and marketing. And a lot of what we chatted about in the last 15 minutes or so has been the start of the sales funnel. And as we're sitting there scripting and role playing or calling people and lead generating and creating business, we're starting to put people into the sales funnel. Who do you know? How can I help? What opportunities get created? And they start into the sales funnel. And then through that, with either some type of incentive program or interactive, touch program. So if Jordan talked about the MREA, there's the 36 touch model. Okay. I use, for me, and I'll give you guys what I use in number 3, when I'm starting to put people into the top of the funnel, I send them my monthly newsletter. And I ask for permission to do that. So I'll reach out to somebody and ask them, listen, I would, I'm growing my database or whatever, or I'm cleaning it up. Like if I only have their name and phone number, but I don't have their email address, I'll call them. And besides the fact that I'm asking for information from them in order to, and get permission to send them my newsletter, I'll also ask, who do you know that I should be speaking with? But anytime I'm putting somebody in, I'm looking for their name, obviously, their phone number, if I'm talking with them, or if I'm on IG or Facebook or DM or any one of those several platforms where it's an electronic communication, I'll look for their phone number and their email address. I'll put them in there, and then I'll ask for them for permission if they would like to receive the value or if they see value in getting my monthly newsletter.
Yeah, that's absolute lead generation. And I like to say, hey, so I'm just calling, I'm cleaning out my address book. I'm updating my address book. Realized I didn't, are you still at this address? Is this still your email address? Okay, oh, that's new, right? Just, that's very casual. And ultimately it's kind of old school lingo, old school Kellerisms. Lead generation is as simple as this, and filling your database. It's that you're finding people you haven't met yet, and you're turning them into Mets. And the difference between a haven't met and a Met, it's not that you shook their hand and they know who you are. It's that you asked them, I'm a real estate person. This is something I offer as a value. If I came back and gave this to you, if you're door knocking, or if I emailed this to you once a month, would you be interested in that? Would that be valuable to you? Can I keep talking about real estate with you? And they say, Kevin, I love real estate. Real estate's I love it. Yes, I love you. Please send this to me again. I would be offended if you didn't come back here. They become a Met in your database. If it's a person that says, do not send me anything ever again, my wife is a real estate agent. Okay, there's work on that. You could still go for it. So to simplify what we're doing for lead generation, sometimes it's as simple as that. And of course, Oh, by the way, before I let you go, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals. Do you know anybody that I can call right now?
Teresa, what are some of the numbers that have popped up in the chat?
I'm just jumping on here. Whitney, let's see. I see at 9:27, I'm just hopping on, so I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. I see 320, 25,
There's a LOL in there. I don't know what that's got to be worth a lot.
200, 3,600, 103, 86, 25, 30, 19, 18, 25.
I mean, so you
Yeah.
got some really big numbers in there.
And you got Laura Gold's lead generating in the chat over here asking for referrals in Vermont.
That's
That's
what the
awesome.
LOL was for.
Bonus points, brownie points, brownie
So-
points. Hey, Kevin, we can't see your beautiful face. You got to tilt your camera down a little bit. That's
Huh?
in the chat. Somebody, we want to see you. We can't see you. Tilt your camera down.
Okay, everybody can see me.
I can't see. I'm missing half your beard. You're missing half your beard. There it is. Yes. Yes.
So here's a little nugget for you. The average 22-year-old knows 2,000 people on a first name basis. So if you know somebody on a first name basis, do you think they should be in your database?
Yes.
Yes. Jordan or Teresa, can one of you chime off the top of your head the number of deals that you should get a year from somebody that's in your database that you've met that you contact 36 times a year?
2 transactions.
2 transactions. So if you knew and contacted 100 people in your database 36 times a year through a 36 touch active 36 touch plan, you'd have 200 pieces of business.
Which we remember that we leverage people, systems, and tools. That's why we're all affiliated with the best damn real estate company in the entire world. We own our own technology company. Gary Keller understood this back when they were using frickin' Rolodex. And so now those 36 touch, it's a click of a button, it's fully autonomous. The technology is key.
So I'm going to challenge, so any new agent that comes on my team, I challenge them to have 500 people in their database in the first 90 days. So if you're not at 500 people in your database, I'm going to challenge you to contemplate getting to 500 people in your database in the first 3 months. And it's
And
as simple as it literally can be as simple as I'm in real estate, I'm sending out a monthly newsletter. Would you like to get it? People
Okay.
love to get information about real estate. It is for the vast majority of people, it is the largest investment in their life.
And people are proud of it.
Okay, I mean, there's an entire cable news channel regarding real estate, HGTV. People love getting real estate information. If you send them a monthly newsletter every single month, you've just eliminated 12 out of 36 required touches. So just a general challenge right there.
And you're giving them something. Obviously, we're asking for referrals, yet lead generation's all about what can I do for you? What would be valuable to you? I want to bring value to you. So of course they're going to want to bring value to your life. And just to touch on that 2 transaction example that you just shared, Kevin, with the 36 touch, those are 2 closed transactions. Think about all the referrals, right? And all the new people that you can add to your database. Because when people get referrals, they're not always great, right, Kevin? They don't always close. They might not be qualified. You might not want to work with those people. So maybe refer it, get some money that way. Yet think about all the referrals you can get from those people. Because when you say, who can I call right now that would appreciate the same level of service that I provide, the beauty is you don't even have to do any real estate business with that person to know the level of service that you provide, right? Maybe somebody who's highly qualified is in their network and they refer you that business. So it grows very, very quickly.
So I love this slide as well. It probably isn't one of the as I talked about, one of the top 2 or 3 things that I've seen in KW, but so many times in this business where we talked about, Jordan, when we jumped on and we said our business is simple, not easy, right? Like, people think of marketing in real estate like, hey, I've got to put out billboards and I've got to go do commercials and radio things and all these other advertising things
Be
that
sweet.
to get my name out. And that is, okay, certainly an avenue. But what is it? It is money intensive. It is really passive, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort once you spend the money to do it. And yes, you may obtain some long-term results. But what we're asking you to do is relatively free, minus your cell phone bill. However, it's time intensive. It is very proactive. But here, look, like, write this down. You can get immediate results. You don't have to sit there and wait for the phone to ring.
We lead with revenue. That's in our MREA model. We lead with revenue because you can build a business plan no matter what level you're at. And as you grow, we begin to shift ourselves from E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. And that's when, if you've got some money, you've been out there, you've been doing your lead generation strategies for sale by owners, expireds, sphere of influence, charities, clubs, whatever. You want to tailor fit your lead generation model to you. You got to do something realistic that you're actually going to do. Just because Kevin does it one way doesn't mean I should do it the same, because we can't compare our insides to other people's outsides. Yet it is kind of fun though when you have some money and you're keeping track of it because you're treating your practice like a business. Then, hey, maybe I'll try this. Maybe I could get the phone to ring. Give it 6 months. If it doesn't work, cut it out and keep an eye on it.
Jordan,
ultimately-
speaking of, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, no, you're
sorry,
good.
go ahead.
Well, just lead with revenue. You got to lead
Jordan,
with revenue.
speaking of what you just said, here's another nugget, write this down, right?
Nuggets.
Like, I always tell people to communicate with your prospects the way they want to communicate. We are now in a technology age where text and direct messaging on social media is certainly acceptable, professionally and personally. And you need to communicate with your prospects, in my opinion, the way they want to communicate. If you call me at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, I am not going to answer the phone. If you send me a text at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, you're very likely going to get a response from me.
And an email is just going to get buried, right?
So I strongly, and it's acceptable now. Like, so when this technology came out, it wasn't necessarily acceptable, but now I'm going to strongly encourage you to communicate with people the way they want to be communicated, not the way you want to communicate. I love texting, but I've got a client of mine who will not, absolutely refuses to respond to any text message I've ever sent him. So now I know if I want to talk to that, if I want to have any type of correspondence with him, I got to pick up the phone.
Mirror and match.
So
Mirror and match.
inside of your lead generation, understand DMs and texts and emails are perfectly acceptable to create a two-way conversation.
And I'll say there is if you delve into your command CRM a little bit, it has all kinds of AI technology, and you have to go into the marketplace within command. And if you look at the Trilio account, you can add a certain amount of money per month. Our CRM does a lot of things and it's all paid for, yet you can enhance it. And we have Keller Williams has an affiliation partnership with Facebook, and your database, the command database, can actually communicate with people in your database on their Facebook pages. It can send text messages on your behalf through your cell phone. So do some research. If you have a chance to get into a command class, Go for it.
All right, interactive again in the chat. I'd love to hear some financial goals of what everybody would like to make a year in real estate.
$1 million. Whitney liked that one. I got one last.
So
You could call
Jordan,
that a
I'm gonna
dad joke.
Jordan, I'm gonna give you a great thing. So the first time I took bold, right?
A million
Teachers in
years
the
ago.
room, there's 80 some odd people in the room. Everybody's talking like she asked this question similar to this, like, what does everybody want to out of what does everybody want to be? What does everybody want to be? Keller Williams, Gary Keller wrote a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. There's 20 or 30 people answering these questions. Nobody said until I said it, I want to be a millionaire real estate agent. Like, how freaking simple is that?
Jesse Davies,
Yeah.
right? We all know Jesse. What, 15 times bold? Guy's a champion. He'll tell you he's gonna be a billionaire.
Yeah.
No
So
limiting
Teresa,
beliefs
what
with
are
that
some
guy.
of the what are some of the answers?
All right, so a lot of folks are saying between 100 to 200, and then we have one with Lois is up to 500 thousand a year.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good job,
Everybody,
guys.
you can write this down. Another nugget. You can absolutely achieve those goals if your database gets to the size of it and you correspond with the database that equals that goal.
Yeah, there's a formula for that.
The size of your database and the activities around your database is directly correlated to the size of your bank account. Period. If you have 30 people in your database or you have 300 people in your database, your bank account's going to be different.
Right. Got to communicate with them though.
So your database, also commonly referred to as your data bank, is, and it can be anything. We have Command. Okay, I've used Top Producer. I've used my cell phone. That was probably I've used old business cards. That was my database for a while. That didn't work out very well. I used Salesforce in the past. It doesn't matter what your database is that you use. The best database in the world is the one that you use. We just happen to have Command, so that's available to us, but it centrally stores everything. You're constantly nourishing it. You're constantly updating it. You're constantly asking if they have, I mean, how many people do we know with more than one email address? Which one do you prefer?
Just updating my address book, Kevin.
Just updating it, you know? It can
Gotta
be
get you a birthday
organized.
card.
So we organize our database for my team with the tag section inside of Command. That's just what we use, but everybody can use something differently.
And
then
speaking
your
of database, Kevin, how about the you guys figure out Command and then boom, Real Next hits you,
No, we're
I
not
mean,
changing. We're
I mean,
staying. We're staying.
that's a specific example as to, I love that. The best database in the world is the one that's user-friendly to you.
Yeah.
Use what works. Love
And
that.
your lead generation specifically feeds your database. Some of my best clients are people that I met elsewhere, golfing, hunting, fishing, networking, a BNI group. It does, I mean, where your sphere, I mean, you're constantly going to be feeding your database. So I feel like we've been chatting a lot. I just want to open up if there's any questions up to now. Feel free to either throw them in the chat or frankly, chime in and just ask.
Yeah, please, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Good morning. This is Lisa in Southern New Hampshire.
Hi, Lisa.
Lisa,
Good morning. As far as the adding people to your database, I just want to say that I like when I'm talking to somebody and I'm asking to put them in my database, I say, or do you already know someone? So that I know if they give me their information, it's actually a good lead. They're not just saying yes to be nice. So I give them an out. Because I don't want to be sending them my stuff and wasting my time with pop buys or whatever if they're really going to use their sister. You know what I mean?
I do, Lisa, but I'm gonna challenge your thinking on this.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna challenge your thinking because I would argue everybody knows more than one broker. And you know, who they ultimately end up using is their preference based upon who they think is gonna do the best job for them. And why shouldn't it be you?
And I would also add to that, Lisa, if you'd like, and again, having people in an address book and looking at your database is two different things. Now, tagging your A clients and your B clients and your C clients and D clients. There's nothing wrong with having D clients in a database because put them on command, you put them on a smart plan, and the smart plan could be as simple as Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Halloween, Happy Birthday, right? And you never know, that might trigger something. Now, do you want to be doing a pop by with that person? Probably not. So that's why we would want to tag out our A+ clients, the people who have sent you referrals that have closed. You might want to call them once a month and take them out to lunch, right? Be nice to those people. I mean, they're sending you pretty quality leads. Then you've got your B people in your database, people who sent you a referral here or there, but they kind of have some other brokers that they like to work with, but they're worth a visit, maybe a pop by if you're in the neighborhood, maybe they're a personal note on Christmas instead of an email blast. And you got your C's who are people that are kind of like, you know, you're nice and everything, but maybe someday, but you know, my cousin's a realtor and I don't know. So everybody should be in your database.
Yeah, just a couple of statistics for you to contemplate, and I'm only challenging your thinking. I'm not saying what you're doing is right or wrong. I'm just challenging your thinking. 80% of people that get their sales agent license don't move on to get their associate broker license. So you have a generic fallout rate inside of real estate. 82% of homeowners can't remember the realtor that they bought their house from after a certain period of time. Brokers are notoriously bad about staying in touch with past clients. To Jordan's point, just set it and forget it. I'd consider adding them to the database. I have my top 100 in my database. Those are the people that know me, love me, and they're like, I am the only person they're going to talk to and the only person they're going to refer. I treat them significantly different than everybody else in my database.
That's right. Now, and to add to that, when somebody sends you a referral and they want to send you a referral, it doesn't work out, they're not qualified. Even if they say, well, I'm giving your name out a lot, and you've got to remind them, look, they're not calling because they're nervous or they lost my card. You need to call me, give me their name and contact information. I'll follow up with them and I'll take great care of them for you. So you're teaching people how to treat you and you're creating the spontaneity. You're conditioning the reflex in them so they can be spontaneous when they have a referral. And you've got your A+ clients, right? Like Kevin, you got your 100 top 100, and you've got people who sent you referrals that are just not working out. You still want to reward the behavior. Now, not necessarily take them out to lunch, right? Like some of the other people, you might want to touch on them, invite them to like some special party events and stuff. But like those people who are trying to get you referrals, you still need to love on them and make sure that they know that they're being rewarded because of the behavior. And then your C's.
I give these out.
Damn, I want one of those.
Send me a
What do I got to do
referral.
for that? What do I got to do for that, Kevin? I don't have one.
What is that, Kevin?
I'll do anything.
It's a Yeti mug with my logo on it. You can't see it very well, but I'll give somebody a $35, $40 mug if they're going to send me a referral that's going to net me several $1,000s.
Oh, and plus 30% if they're or 25% if they're a realtor, right? And a mug. So if I send you a referral, can I have 25? I want 30%. I'm going to go back up. 30% final offer, 2 mugs. I've got a lot of kids at home. We'll share one of them. Share one.
Any other-
for the kids.
So Lisa, I just want to come back and just challenge your thinking on that. Does that make, any of that make sense?
Yep, I totally understand. Like I've been kind of lax on the pop buys
Yep.
lately, but I've been in 5 years this year. And the very first pop buy I did was my farm, which is about 180 houses just right here on my hill. And agents were like, oh my God, you're crazy. You've never even met these people. And yeah, I've seen a lot of for sale signs go up for other agents. And what I realized is at first I was like, seriously, see if you get another Popeye.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, wait a minute, it could be their sister, it could be their best friend. Everybody knows somebody, like you said. So I don't take it personally anymore. But from that very first Popeye, I got a listing out of it. And I'm in talks with him. That was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And while I'm in contact with him now for a possible purchase. And from the sign, I got another one in the neighborhood that sold for 600. They bought for 780, and I sold their son his condo. Like out of that one little bag of gardening gloves and my card and a seed packet.
So it works.
Yeah, it does. It's a lot of work, but for 180 houses. But I had my 12-year-old hanging out the side of the car, hanging in my mailboxes. Make it a family affair. So I truly believe in pop buys. I just need to make sure I'm getting those on a regular basis.
I listened to an old, when I was younger in the business, at my first company, I listened to an older agent. And he was cold calling. This is before the do not call list. And he was cold calling and he was asking for business and ending every ask with, or are you all set? And I was just dumbfounded, like, who's not going to say, yeah, hey, I'm all set, right? Like, if you cold calling somebody and you're going through the script and you're going through all the emotions that cold calling does, which I hate, by the way, and I'll never do it and I'll never suggest it, and end with, or are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thanks.
So
Peace out.
any other questions, comments?
There was a question here. Ian had asked, what's the average pay gap between brokers and agents? Can you, Ian, you can type in the chat or shout it out. What is your, could you just elaborate on that question a little bit? We'd love to answer it for you.
Well, I was just curious between, like a broker and a licensee, I mean, obviously, I'm not sure who's making more money a year. I would imagine the broker does on an annual basis.
Honestly, it's, we are independent contractors and we run our business. We make our own decisions as to what we want to get paid. So I have a broker's license and I'm thinking of Will Van Wickler. He was in the business for 8 months. I've been in the business for 12 years. The kid did 21 transactions in 8 months. He's a full-time college student, 20 years old, 7.5 million in sales volume, and he cleared over like 125 in his bank account, bought an investment property out in Sugarloaf. He's renting it currently, creating passive income. Has another property he put under contract, which is a owner financing deal that he put together because it was a listing that he was taking, decided to buy it. So he is out producing many brokers. So
Ian, there's no correlation between the license that you hold and your income.
not at
Where's
all.
he from anyways?
Say that again.
Where's he from?
Right here, in Falmouth, Maine, right where I grew up.
Maine. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Falmouth boy too.
There is zero correlation between the license that you hold and the income that you can make.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just license. Your sales agent license is non-renewable. So here's what's exciting, Ian, is in 2 years, you're going to go back to school. There's no big state exam or anything like that. And they're going to slap an old broker sign on your license. It's going to say associate broker. And you are, but right now you are eye to eye with anybody that you come in contact with, no matter who that agent is, what experience they have. When you're up against another agent, broker, whatever you want to call them, and it's you and them for $1 million listing appointment, it's yours. And you set the price because
Right.
your standards are valuable and you're a great agent. You're a top salesperson, and those sellers and buyers want to work with you.
I also have one more question about,
Broker and agent is interchangeable.
right, okay.
Sure, you could say that. Yeah.
So once you get a name of a lead, like, the next step, would that be? Cause I'm curious about like pre-approval, like, is it even worth it going through anything or just finding out if they're approved right off the bat? In terms
would
of
ask
saving
them.
time?
It's a good
Just
question to
ask
ask.
them?
Are you pre-approved? No, we're not, or yes, we are. So regardless, your number one objective when you have a lead is great. Let's set an appointment right now. I can meet you today at 1 o'clock, tomorrow at 3, or you're gonna need a couple days. I could do like Friday at 4. Let's set this now. And if they say, no, I'm not approved, great. I'm gonna have my lender call you.
Okay,
And we
Ian, one of
refer
the
business
things
to
I
them.
always like to take out of this feeling of you, but it feels it out. So when I'm talking with buyers, I always ask them, I presume, are you, I'll say something like, are you paying cash or are you financing?
Yeah, that's a great line. I like that.
okay.
Right? Like, because
Yeah.
it's less stressful than.
Yeah.
Or it's my interpretation of being a little bit less presumptuous that they need financing, because sometimes nowadays we just don't know. There's a lot of cash in the marketplace, a lot of family money feeding down to help people buy things. And
Yeah.
so I'll just say, hey, listen, are you paying cash or are you seeking financing? Are you paying
Okay.
cash or do you need financing? Oh, well, no. Hey, I don't have that much cash. I'll need financing. Great. Have you talked with the lender yet, or do you need a referral to a good lender? No, I'll
Right.
need a referral. Great. Okay. Now to Jordan's point, great. Now let's get you into the office and talk about the process, or let's meet and talk about the process. Is tomorrow at 4 or today at 2 better?
Yeah, set that appointment.
Does your office where you work out of always refer to the same lender?
No, it's your own independent business. You can refer to anybody that you want to.
Right,
Yeah,
because the
you-
office where I'm at down here in Rhode Island, they gave us a name of somebody, and if you go through them, I guess like they get all the paperwork and everything done like right off the bat, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. So start
so-
there until you're forming your own relationships.
Right,
You can
okay,
start there. I mean, talk to your PC coach or talk to your ATL or however, but yeah, 100%. Just I would never show anybody a house until they're pre-approved,
okay. Okay.
period.
But you
Great.
could still meet them. You could still meet them because
100%.
meet with them, show them value, help them. And if they can't buy a house, that's still somebody that's getting a Christmas card, still getting a phone call. Hey, how's it going? Did you get the Christmas card? How's your vacation? How are the kids? Hey,
That's that nurturing piece, Ian.
yeah,
You set the appointment, they're not ready, you nurture. Remember I said one of my biggest sales a couple years ago was 17 years in the making?
Yep.
then
I
next thing
like
you know,
to,
they're,
I like,
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
like to say to them, your first step is to get pre-qualified, and I have a great lender, because we don't want you to fall in love with a house that you can't afford. Or
That
that's
would
out
be
of your
painful.
budget, something like
Because that
that.
would be painful, right?
Exactly. And it's a
Right.
waste of time for everybody.
Good
Any
one, Ian.
other-
Thanks for that. Thanks for busting that conversation open, man.
Any other questions? Shall we move on?
Moving on,
Moving on.
moving on.
So to Ian's point that we were just chatting about, right? It's that nurture. Let's say they come in and you meet with them, or you go on a listing appointment and they choose to wait, whatever. I mean, situations change. Now we have to convert this to that lead, connecting in contact with them over the course of time to nurture them through the process and stay connected with them. So if you have not read the MREA, or as you're taking other Ignite courses, you're gonna hear people talk about the 36 touch plan. When you are meeting with people and you're trying to firm up or solidify a relationship, they're calling it 19 to connect. And then 36 to convert them. So that's that 36 touch plan to move them through that pipeline. 4 of those on both of these is a telephone call. We break it up quarterly. Okay, it's the Jordan, what's the acronym, the 4 letters? I'm so bad.
For what?
The D2, D3, D2, D.
Yeah. Breaking it up into alphabet. Yeah. D2,
Teresa,
DT2, D, R2D2. Call it that. You'll figure it out. It's
Teresa,
somewhere.
can you track that down and put it up in the chat, please? I just can't
We
remember.
blew it, Kevin.
We blew it.
KW New England's would be like, get these
They're never
guys
gonna
out of
ask us to
here.
come back.
You don't
That
know
makes
nothing.
me feel so much better that you guys can't say it either.
Okay, I am gonna tell you guys, in my opinion, the easiest one is this 12 touch newsletter. It's monthly. You know, you can set somebody up on a smart plan that goes out every single month. It's wicked easy. That's my
Yeah.
main accent. It's wicked easy.
Wicked awesome.
Okay, and it's great information, and people absorb real estate information. And you can see that can carry over down to here too, inside of your 36 touch. You know, direct mailing, calendars, the seed packets, whatever you want to do, an annual event, client contact event, whatever. Have some fun with your lead generation. Have some fun in some format. Teresa, you look like you're ready to tell us what I missed.
No, I was getting ready to, oops, sorry.
It's R2D2. Come on, guys. We all know it.
No, it's DTD2.
Ooh, I think you had it,
DTD2.
Kevin.
I was
Yeah.
close.
Kaylee's got it. Nailed it.
Okay, and what the DTD2 does, it breaks up the alphabet. So you're calling 2 letters in your database every single month. And so by breaking it up, you never forget to call somebody.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to chat about that. Have some fun with it, you know, promotional direct mailing, magnets, school calendars. One of the things that we did for years, we struck an agreement with the school system, and we provided the school calendar with our logo as a magnet to everybody that was enrolled in the school. And it went out. There's all kinds of different things that you can do to have some fun with nurturing your contacts in your database. Jordan, you got anything? No?
Probably. Yeah. I bet you I'm just full of knowledge, but we can move on. You nailed it.
Okay, so again, inside of managing your database, there are custom tags. I have tagged out my top 100. Clearly, I'm going to tell you, I treat my top 100 a little bit differently. We tag people inside of the smart plans to get our newsletter. So if you're tagged, if you're in my database and you're tagged to get my newsletter, it goes out automatically every month in the smart plans. There's all kinds of different things you can do to manage your database. I could talk for 30 seconds on different ways to manage it. No, I'm just kidding. I could talk for a long time on different ways to manage your database. This is where it's going to directly, in my opinion, this is where you get to have your personality shine. You know, if you're an avid fly fisherman like Jordan is, you can do different things regarding fly fishing to promote people inside of your database. It looks like Laura loves horses. She's on my screen. She could do different things in Vermont regarding, you know, horses or whatever. Like, this is where you get to let your personality shine and touch things, you know, and change some things up to help people understand who you are in your database.
That's a good point, Kevin. For years, and I like Kevin said, I know I didn't always use Command. Command is a great system, and I always had something that worked for me, and I had different groups of people in my database. And come November, I did a lot of hunting and fishing, and not everybody wants to see pictures of that stuff. And so I had a smart plan created in the October, November months where people would get the success that me and my family had had in our hunting and fishing adventures. And it would be cute little recipes like venison recipes or fishing recipes. People loved that. And it didn't go to everybody. It just went to the people that would appreciate that. So it's custom tailored to specific people. And I got a lot of business from that. Saying
All right.
stuff like, saying stuff like, you know, here's a picture of the fish. Here's a picture of the fish. Give me a call sometime. I'll catch you a great deal. Something like that. You know, cute.
All right, so adding contacts to your database, we kind of highlighted some of this, you know, already. But I'd love to just chat a little bit about, you know, the fact that there's a strong likelihood that the people that you'll do the vast majority of your business with aren't already in your database. You know, especially if you're a newer agent, right? Like they're probably not already in your database. So how are we going to get them in there? You know, you have your personal contacts, the people in your phone, your social media contacts, people that you worked with in the past. You know, one of my best sources of leads are, you know, groups that I participate in. So I've been on various boards where, you know, I'm giving back to the community, or I'm doing this and I'm meeting people, right? There's BNI groups. If nobody's ever heard of Business Network International, I mean, it's a referral based thing. They're in every single community, and any chapter or any group in BNI only allows one person in any particular field into the group. So if you're the residential real estate agent for the group, you're the only residential agent inside that group. So this is, you know, there's a chance that you have, you know, the people that you're going to do the vast majority of business with over the next year or two aren't already in your database. Let's have a little bit of fun with getting them in there. I'm a big goal setter. And so let's challenge your thinking and think about, you know, how many people can you add into your database in a given week? We're in the midst of taking Bold in Maine, KW Maine, we're having Bold. It's an 8-week class right now, as we chatted about at the beginning. It's business objective, a life by design. And inside of our Bold class, if you earn a foul, 5 fouls, you're out. You don't even graduate. They kick you out of the class.
You're out of there.
If you earn a foul, you can redeem a foul by adding 25 names in your database in a week. So if MAPS Coaching is teaching a course across the country called Bold, and they're suggesting that adding 25 people to the database in a week yields you a foul that you can redeem, clearly everybody believes you can add 25 people to your database in a week, which is 100 a month. If they're challenging that, maybe you can challenge yourself that. How many people in here think they can add 100 people to their database in the next 30 days?
I can do it in 5 days.
Does
I can
anybody,
name that tune in one note.
what is it?
I don't know.
So I challenge everybody to thinking about adding 100 people to your database. Now I'm going to say, go back to the goal that you put into chat 10 or 15 or 20 minutes ago, what you said your goal was to earn an income. Is the work that you're doing equal to the goal that you put in? That's a reality check for you. If you work somewhere and you're saying you want to make between $150,000 and $200,000 a year, are you doing the work that you think somebody would pay you to make $150,000 or $200,000 a year?
I had a quick question about this.
Sure.
What would qualify adding a contact to the database? Just being aware of, you know, the do not call list. I mean, how many degrees away would it qualify? Does it have to be a first degree, first name basis, or can it be, you know, I spoke to this person, they mentioned they knew somebody who knew you, you know, like how close does it need to be?
Chris, I would answer that by saying it's a two-way conversation. So if you have a two-way conversation with them and you ask for permission to add them to your database, they go in your database.
And does that constitute as somebody on the do not call list? And there is a gray area there that sure there, but again, you said, hey, what's your number? You know how many people, hey, good to see you too, Chris, by the way. I did not know you were in here. You just came off the screen. Good to see you, man. Right in front of me. I can't wait to see you again at the office, man. Awesome. So glad you're here. So again, it's like I had so many people in my database, and it's like guy from Little League game. You know what I mean? And I just popped it in there, right? Because we talked, but I got his number. I just didn't remember it. I just kind of like I was spitballing it. And it's like, hey, how's it going? Remember me? We met over at the baseball field. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember you. If he's on the do not call list and it sort of starts like that, it's like, oh, by the way, I'm a real estate agent. Oh, I love real estate stuff. You know, cool. All right. Well, maybe we get together sometime. I'll show you some of my cool stuff that I do. I do emails. What's your email? Like, or is that, I mean, if somebody who's not on the do not call list, they still want to take phone calls. Obviously, it's not like don't ever call me, just don't have a phone. So that's a great question that you asked. And that's why we're adding people into our database. Because if they're in our database and they gave you permission to call, then you kind of have like the secret sauce, man. Like nobody else can call them.
Chris, you could
call them.
also start with a text message. Like if you're a little bit nervous, you
Yeah.
could text them and say, hey, listen, you know, Jordan gave me your phone number. Is this a good time to call, or can we connect later?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you can leave it open-ended, but I think to answer your question, if you've engaged in a two-way conversation with them and you've asked for permission to add them to your database, and here's the catch, in my opinion, here's the catch. By giving them something. Can I add you into my database because I'm sending out a monthly newsletter that you might enjoy? Can I add you into my database to keep you abreast of the market and inventory in your neighborhood? Can I add you to my database to keep you abreast of events that I might do? Client appreciation events or events that I might do. Can I add you to my database to give you something? It's that two-way conversation and the ask.
So, I mean, just to clarify, in other words, you don't add to the database until there's some type of communication, that two-way conversation. So a warmed lead, someone who's aware that you're going to be working with them, you know, in a prospecting or.
Well, let me try to answer that. So if it's somebody that you know, I would add them to the database and then call them to clean it up. So there's a app out there called SA Contacts. S is in Sam, A is in Apple Contacts, and it will download all of your social media contacts into an Excel spreadsheet, which then you can automatically upload into Command. So if you've already got a relationship with them, either through social media or some other format, no, I'd probably just add them into my database, but then I'd call them.
Well, I guess my question would be more assuming after that sphere has been brought into the database, when you're trying to grow it, you know, the additional, you know, 100 in 5
Then I
days.
would revert back to that two-way conversation and the
Okay.
ask,
Yep.
right? So like, hey, Chris, Kevin Fletcher, KW Commercial, how are you today? Jordan St Loren gave me your phone number. And I was just talking to Jordan and he was telling me that you might be interested in commercial real estate. I send out a monthly newsletter every single month. Is that something that you might be interested in receiving? Is it okay if I add you into my database, and what's your best email?
Cool. So initial outreach, warming. I
Yeah.
understand.
Right. But again, the key is that, hey, I'm giving you something and I'm asking for permission.
Okay. That clarifies it. Thank you.
All
No
right.
means no, unless they're saying they don't want to list their house at a dining room table, then that just means that you're gonna have to try something else.
So again, I mean, you have custom tags that you can do inside of your database. I would caution you to get really, really specific. So we just went through and cleaned this up inside our database. I had in there people for 1 to 4 family investors, 5 unit and above investors, investors for $500,000 and below, investors under $1 million, investors over. I mean, I had everything in there. And then we just went through and just clarified it to investors. So I would caution you to get overly specific. Lisa talked about her farm. I would clearly tag the farm, right? Like I would clearly tag people in my database to the farm. I'd tag people to certain points. I would just caution you to be overly specific inside of your tags. All right, well, we are 19 of 38 slides. Do we want to take a break or do we want to keep going and finish early? I'm happy to take a 10-minute break. I'm happy to keep chatting.
All in favor? Christopher seconds the motion. Motion second. All in favor? Teresa says aye. Yeah, we'll take a quick break. Let's do it.
All right, so it is 10:16. Let's be back in 10 minutes. We'll be back at 10:26, 10:27. We'll get the ball rolling. I don't know where I fall in. I don't exactly know where I fall in, but I'm technologically okay. But I find that I'm getting worse because technology gets newer. I don't know.
It's okay,
So-
Kevin. I've got a nice home picked out for you. We're gonna take great care of you, buddy. You just hand over that database. Everything gonna be fine. I'll take good care of you. I'll take great care of your clients. Don't worry
All right.
about them.
All right, so Jordan, do you want to talk a little bit about, smart plans and command inside of the database? And again, the whole concept is that we're at the point we're at now in the class is that nurturing phase of your
Right.
database.
So just like we talked about tagging your database, sorting on them to specific types of people and how you're going to communicate with them, your smart plans want to be very specific. Now, I'm going to say some things, and it's not to say that I want anybody to go back to their corners after this and just bury their nose and bury their head into building smart plans, because when we talk about what a realtor does on a daily basis, our top 20% activities, it's lead generation, setting appointments, holding appointments, negotiating contracts, script and role play. Yet, this is going to take away a lot of that 80%, because what happens when you set an appointment or you talk to somebody and it's an enlightening conversation and they feel comfortable with you, or you told them that you were going to send them some stuff? You write an email following up, told you I was going to send you this and that. Here's the link to this. Here's my pre-listing pack, all these different things. So in your smart plans, you would have specific smart plans with titles. So for mine, for instance, I would have one that I got off the phone with somebody and I told them that I was going to give them this, that, and the other thing. And they would be a specific type of person, a buyer or a seller. So I would have a library where I could easily locate it. You get off the phone with them. While we're on the phone with them, obviously we have to put their contact information. Otherwise the database doesn't know where to send the email, doesn't know where to send the texts. I don't know where to send the personal note that I do, because that's my unique value proposition. People really appreciate a handwritten note. Just by the way, if you send them a personal note, I can guarantee you that the 3 other brokers that they're talking to, they probably didn't do that. Now, what this smart plan is going to do is the email is going to reference things that you said in the conversation, because that's the key thing that a real estate agent has to do on a daily basis is practice your scripts and role play them, because everything you said is going to show up in that email. And the email is the same every time. It has the links. It has their name at the top. Sometimes I'll bury their name somewhere in the middle because the smart plan generates their first name. It's very personal. I don't have to change dates. And I say everything that's in the email reflects what I said in the conversation because I practice that script and I don't go off of it. And then it follows up with the text, and the text would say, referencing, hey, 3 days ago, I sent you this email. Did you have any questions for me? Boom, they might text you back. They might want to set the appointment, cancel the smart plan. If they don't text you back, it pauses 4 or 5 days. So these can be customizable. That you can put them in any, you can put them in any sort of order that you want. And so I could talk until I'm blue in the face, but again, you don't want to go in here and spend 8 hours a day working on smart plans, because that's 80%, guys. 80% activities generate 20% of the results. And I don't know about you, but I'd much rather do less work and make more than do more work and make less.
Yeah, you
So
don't
this-
want to,
Yeah.
you don't want to dive in there and spend an enormous amount of time, but I do suggest that you spend the appropriate amount of time to set it up right the first time. What
Yeah.
Jordan's talking about is leverage, and, you know, the amount of business that you can generate now, thanks to technology, is astronomical. And this is just another point of leveraging technology to your benefit. If you can imagine the fact, what we're talking about is setting up a smart plan, and we're not going to dive in to talk about for an hour about smart plans, but we just highlighted the fact that they exist.
Yes.
You know, you create a smart plan and you can have 8 weeks of conversations automatically generated with a person.
Here's what I
Probably.
would suggest. Here's what I would suggest, guys. There are libraries. The problem with, for me, maybe I'm just one of those people that, again, we learn in the MREA book, we start with the model as our foundation, and then we add our creativity. Because a lot of people want to reinvent the wheel. They want to start with creativity, and then it's upside down because you're starting from the top. You got to have a strong foundation. And that's the difference between an entrepreneur and being purposeful. That's that E to P again. And here's what I would suggest. Okay. They have the libraries. For me, they're just a little cheesy. That's not the way I would talk, right? But how long does it take to write an email after you get off the phone with somebody and you do everything you said you were going to do, send them links to things, and then proofread it 3 or 4 times, and then send it, and there's still 3 typos somehow. I don't even know how they got in there, but they do. So it does take time, but it's worth a little bit of time, because then when you get off the phone, you just click a button and it's the same. They get the email that you would have had to write either way. So here's what I would suggest is that go through your database and just go put up every single one of those people. Seriously, all of them. Put them on a smart plan where they just get like, what's the next holiday? You know, you got St. Patrick's Day, right? Just try that, see how it feels. And it's going to show you, you say you put 300 people on a smart plan, and all it is, the smart plan is literally send this freaking flyer with a leprechaun on it. Happy, you know, St. Patrick's Day, give me a call and, you know, maybe I'll get lucky or something, whatever, you know, send it. You might get a phone call. Thank you so much for this email, right? Like, holy crap, right? Can I call you? Yeah, call me. Like, try that. Just, and then end the smart plan. That's it. Or yeah.
Just to give like my interpretation of this, you know, if you have, and I'm just going to say 500 people in your database, because in my opinion, 500 people is the baseline number. 500 people to me is, hey, I'm a real estate professional full-time. That's my opinion, and I'm the one teaching the class, so I get to say that. So, you know, if you've got 500 people in your database that you're supposed to touch 36 times a year, you physically can't do that and still do business, right? So, I mean, you know, you have to automate those touches in some format. And so if you think of this smart plan as automating those touches, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So if they're in your database, you're creating that. And it's top of, you know, we're in a field where it's top of mind awareness. Regardless of whether or not we want to admit it, everybody knows other real estate brokers. Okay, so who are they going to use or call or refer to? It's the one that's at the top of their mind. And so if you're the one that sends them a happy St. Patty's Day smart plan at the time that their brother said, hey, we're moving back home and we need a broker, it just might be that one thing that gets you the referral.
Bingo. Not rocket science, right, Kevin?
It isn't.
Simple.
No, because
not easy.
if it was rocket science, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm not that intelligent.
Hey, snap your bold bracelet.
I killed a lot
Snap
of
it.
brain cells in high school.
Oh yeah, I know, but you gotta snap your bold bracelet. You could be anything you want. You
just
could be
did, in case
president
you
of the
didn't
United
hear it.
States, Kevin. You can be anything. Snap your bold bracelet.
I did.
Snap it.
So the last piece of this in the sales funnel is that cultivation phase. And that's, again, it's what we're talking about, where we're nurturing people and then qualifying them to get an appointment. So Ian talked about, or I don't know if it was Ian, somebody talked about, are they financed? Are they pre-approved and ready to go and find the house? Or are they ready to have a listing appointment, and we're going to nurture them from that cultivation phase towards the appointment. Okay. That's the entire goal. If we've got 500 to 1,000 people in our database, we're pushing them down through to the point that we are ready to have an appointment with them. We can't force somebody to be ready to buy or sell real estate. All we can do is be hopeful that when they're ready to buy or sell real estate, they think of us. And it's through the actions and the plans that we're talking about in that process that keeps you at the top of the mind, so that when they're ready for that appointment, they call you.
Oh yeah, there's a little demo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
So these are some of what Jordan was talking about. These are smart plans.
And you can
Again,
customize them. You can customize them. You
Yeah.
can take something that somebody built, and this is kind of an example of the KW culture worldwide. Is you can make one that's like killer and share it with the library, and these are things that people use that they're successful with, that they just said, here guys, I took me like 10 years to make this, have it, it's all yours now. It's kind of nice.
So I'm not the one that's going to help be able to train towards setting these up. I would argue that you've got either another Ignite class, an AL, an assistant team leader inside your market center, PC coaching, or somebody inside of your market center that can help teach a course to this. I've used the MREA model to leverage myself to a rock star admin and marketing manager that can help me with this. So I'm aware of these. I'm not the one that's going to help design these. So, but you can see here, you've got a quarterly call plan, or you've got an 8x8 new contact engagement. The 8x8 new contact, who was it? It was Christopher, I think, that talked about when do you add people to your database?
Right.
So I would strongly encourage, if you're creating your database now, to understand the 8x8, and it's 8 contacts in 8 weeks to solidify that contact in your relationship with that contact. So I'm not going to get into it now. I'm just going to tell you it's there, and be aware of it, and find some training on the 8x8 and set up an 8x8 smart plan inside of the database to solidify your relationship with that contact.
Yeah, and just, you want to really be specific when you do start getting into this. And we're in this is a long-term business, guys. One thing that got me to the level of production that I've experienced and to the opportunities that I've unlocked with Keller Williams is that I had a strong understanding that when I started, that this wasn't going to happen overnight. So maybe time block, put it in your 411, right? Is I'm going to do 2 hours a week and work on this. And over time, you could have all kinds of different customized smart plans, and they're specific for a unqualified buyer, qualified buyer, past client, seller, like very specific, could be very specific. That way it's just so simple And then that's that leverage piece. And this smart plan system and this database system that we're all blessed with is sort of like an admin almost. It's like a virtual assistant.
Yep.
You just have to build it. Like a
All
robot.
right, so bear with me here. Before I ask for recap and ahas,
Ah,
I want to come back to
aha.
the sales funnel. And just, I said this at the beginning of the class, I want to say it again, right? Like, it's just relatively simple to think about the concept of, the analogy is planting seeds and farming, right? Like, we've all heard that, or you will hear that analogy a lot in sales. When you go out and if you're making corn, you're growing corn, you don't just go out in the field and expect to get corn. You have to till the soil, plant the seeds, water the seeds, get the sun, grow the plant, and then you go out and harvest them. Real estate brokerage in our business is kind of the same thing, right? Like, we have the top of the funnel is everybody we know. And what makes those people that we know want to use us? That's the meat. That's the stuff that we're doing in the middle. And that conversion and nurturing and cultivation phase, to then get them to come out the bottom with appointments. And so it is as simplistic as that. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. If they know you, then they have to like you. So those two don't go hand in hand. Right? Like, we all know people we don't really like. We have to know them. They have to like us, and then they have to trust us. And the only way they're going to trust us is if we're giving them information that makes us
Valuable.
So, I want to make it, I don't want people to think that this is a complex business, because it isn't. It's really relatively simple. Having said that, it's not easy. And then the piece of that I'm talking about is that correlation between the amount of income that everybody put up in the chat that said that they were interested in making, and the correlation between, I saw people's faces. I saw a few people's faces when I said, can you add 25 people to your database in a week? And that's that work ethic, that lead generation ethic that comes down to creating the direct correlation between the size and nurturing of your database with your income. Any questions, ahas, or anything that anybody wants to chime in? Jordan, we have not changed anybody's lives today.
Oh, Christopher's life is about to be changed. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I appreciate the Ignite lesson today. One thing that was discussed yesterday that I think we were going to go over towards the end of the session was, what qualifies a lead to be off limits? Like, is there a filter of the do not call list? I mean, how do we know, other than, confirmation from, a new lead, not to include them in the database or not to contact them? How would, is there any other way to identify that?
I mean, the only thing that I could say is that if somebody says, don't call me and take me off your database and leave me alone, that would be a clear understanding that they probably should not be in your database, so they could be archived. And I think, from my perspective, that's about it. Now, I might not treat somebody that is a little bit cool or cold to me. I might not treat them like, I think Jordan referenced it like my A clients, B clients, C clients, or D clients. However you want to fit into there, is up to you. But if somebody says, take me off your list and don't call me again, take them off your list and don't call them again. Right?
Yeah, there is a delete section of my database too.
Yeah, I mean, I started a while ago, so everybody has a phone, and when it rings, I started a while ago. I don't do business with people that I have a visceral reaction when I see their number pop up on my phone. I'm sorry, it's just not worth it to me. Like if I see that phone ring and I go, ugh, it's them
Oh, yeah.
again. I don't want to do business with them. Does that answer your question?
Well, the only reason I'm asking again is because yesterday it was kind of briefed that there's a penalty that's present. And since we're independent contractors, I just want to make sure I'm steering away or not entering into any territory of that. Some $40,000 fee to, the new telecom consumer act or something.
Yeah,
I just
so there-
wasn't sure of that yesterday.
So I'm gonna try to share something with you, Christopher, and Will Van Wickler. This was the gentleman I was referencing. So Ian, remember I was talking about one of our top producing agents. He's in our top 10% in KW Maine. Will, what do you have to say? I was talking about, where have you been? What are you doing in here?
Team. I just wanted to say, if you come from contribution, that's not really a problem. As long as you're not being aggressive or bothering people, just call them to help. I've never run into a do not call issue.
There is a do not call list though, right? Will, do you know
There
where to
is.
find? Can you ask Lori if she could share? I'm trying to find it. I would love to
Yeah.
give you a copy of this.
I can find it and
exists.
consult with your operating principal, but that, errors and emissions insurance, make sure you're covered. But I've never run into that when circle prospecting, just coming from contribution.
Right. But you're
And
right.
I asked
Christopher.
this, I'm sorry, I asked this question yesterday, and it is I'm reading it here. So he said that you should have your own account, and you go to donotcall.gov, and you create your own account, and then it says, he said that if you put more zip codes in, then it starts to cost you money. But he said you just go to the hot sheet in the morning on the MLS that shows the new expireds, and you can search for them on that donotcall.gov. But my question that I had when I was looking at this yesterday after the class was one of the sections says your market center should subscribe to the registry and give you login credentials. But I know my market center does not, and I don't really understand why.
Well, you can have that conversation with your TL or your ATL.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's specific to each market center, and I don't want to presume to understand that, Lisa. So, and I think that there's a difference in, and I want to be clear, I think to Chris's question, I think there's a difference between calling an expired or FSBO and general lead practice or lead generation practices with people that you
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
know.
for sale by owner, then they got their number on. For
Yeah,
sale
correct, but
by
I guess
owner.
I'm just, you're right about that, but I just wanted, I think there's a difference between calling an expired then.
Yeah,
And to
that's different.
Christopher's question about, practices inside of the people that I know, or people that are referred to me from people that I know.
Mm.
And
Right.
so,
Right.
Chris, I think to Will's point, even if it's, hey, Chris, Jordan gave me your phone number and asked me to give you a call, like that's, to me, that's different. That is that coming from contribution piece. Does that make sense? And does that sit well with you?
It does, but I guess it would be even more gray. So this person I spoke to pointed me in your direction because they're aware that you're looking to do business. So there's not really a direct handoff. It's even colder than that, but there is, through a second degree connection. Can I just reach out? And
Well,
it's really kind of-
again, to my point is you could always start that conversation via text,
Mm.
right?
I mean, if an office number is the only contact, and so yeah, I don't even know if it's a mobile. I just think that this may be a scenario I may come across again and again. So I just making
So
sure.
I
that-
think you could check with leadership. I've been in the business for 25 years. I've never had the problem. Will's been in the business for a while. He's never had the problem.
Because if you come from contribution, it's not a problem unless you're bothering people and being a pain.
What
So-
is what do you mean by contribution?
Well, I'm calling to help people, let them know about something. If you're just harassing people and harassing for sale by owners, it's not a problem. Some people will say not interested. Great. As Kevin Fletcher says, next.
I would say to play it safe, Chris, there is a do not contact, do not call list. So if it's a concern, I would start with typing that into the database. If you don't see something, again, our business is all about reasonable amount of effort. What did we do? What did we do to limit the possibility we were going to cross a line? And if you have if your gut says don't make this call, maybe just don't make the call. And that's why we have errors and admissions for this reason. This is why, because things happen. You could do something that is completely appropriate in this business and still somebody could file a lawsuit. That's just the reality. We are in a business that we need to carry a large insurance policy. We don't want to use it, and it's there to catch you.
But again, I mean, I think the standpoint of that coming from contribution is, hey, Jordan passed on your name and phone number. He told me that you were interested. Is there something I can help you with? I send out a monthly newsletter. Would that be something of interest to get and for me to send to you, right? Like that's that coming from contribution, and if frankly, at the end of the day, if they're just an asshole and tell you to go pound sand, hang up, move on, and go to the next one. I mean,
Yep.
like,
Now you know.
you know what? If they're a jerk, fucking move on. Next.
You don't want them in your database anyway.
Go egg their house. That's what I always do.
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
only been to
as
jail twice.
as I said at the beginning, right? The average 22, 23, 24-year-old knows 2,000 people on a first name basis. I'm telling you that a full-time agent has 500 people.
Mhm.
Go find
the
those
trick.
500.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Start there. Any other ahas? I mean, this is where I'm asking everybody in the room that's listening to give us some feedback and tell me never to do another Ignite class again, or tell me that Jordan and I have done something to help you.
Hi, this is Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, great. I wasn't sure if I unmuted myself. So I have a general question regarding lead generation.
Sure.
I've been a broker since 2018, but I have worked almost exclusively for a developer. So I was his exclusive broker. During that time, clearly selling a number of houses for him, I've established great relationships with the buyer's brokers. And I've also established great relationships with the buyers. Now that these houses are sold, am I able to contact these buyers and let them know that now I've joined Keller Williams? Or is that crossing the line, knowing that they had previously had a broker and I have worked with them?
Take it away, Kevin.
Lisa, absolutely. Like I said, I gave you the stat, 82% of home buyers after a few years cannot remember the name of the broker that they bought their house from.
But to that point, Kevin, it's a small world being
Sure.
a real estate broker, as we all know. We cross paths over and
Yeah.
over. Am I stepping on someone's toes? I mean, I've become pretty friendly with most of these brokers.
So I
And-
think, Lisa, the answer to the question is it depends on your approach. So
Okay.
if you're simply letting them know that you're now at Keller Williams
Mhm.
and you're creating a database and you're going to send out a newsletter, would they like to see it? That is not stepping on the toes of any other broker.
Excellent. Okay.
I don't perceive that as a negative talk towards any broker or stepping on their toes.
Okay. That's good to know. because I have about 40 people that I could contact.
Sure.
And
And again,
that's great.
but do you believe that? So that's my opinion, but do you believe it?
So that's a good question, Kevin. I'm also an attorney, so I
Yeah.
have this, background of there are certain limitations. There is,
Sure.
you got to be careful in what you do and what you say. And I carry a little bit of that with me as a broker.
Yep.
I have to say, I started to text one of the buyers and I pulled back and I said, I think I'm stepping on her broker's toes. And I really like this broker and I know I'm going to bump into her again. So that's where I struggle. I mean, maybe the approach more is, hey, just wanted to check in, see how you're doing in your new home. Is there anything that we can do for you? Because again, I'm still acting as the developer's broker.
Mhm.
By the way, I just signed up, to Keller Williams. Just wanted to let you know.
I think I totally, in being coming from the commercial side of real estate, I certainly see the correspondence that you're talking about regarding client relationships inside of the legal field.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, it's the approach, right? Hey, I
Right.
just wanted to let you know I've joined Keller Williams. Hey,
Right.
I just want to know, like, is it okay for me to add you to my database, to send you information on the market, or to send you my newsletter?
Okay. Yep.
Right? I mean, we're not saying anything about the broker. We're not asking them for business. We're not
We're just
asking them.
informing them. Right.
We're simply giving them information.
Okay. I like that. I
But
feel
at the
more
end of the-
comfortable. Feel more comfortable with that. Definitely.
Good.
Yeah, Lisa, at the end of the day, it's, life is a competition. So,
Absolutely.
and you don't know how that transaction went on their side. They might not even like her.
Well, that's interesting, Lisa, because I have, in fact, I established really strong relationships with the buyers, and I'm still, in the development. So when I go down there, people come out, Lisa, it's so great to see you. And I do know that some of them would not necessarily work with their broker. It was a difficult development, with COVID hitting and delays. And so, yeah, that's a really good point, Lisa.
And you
I
don't
think-
know if she's keeping in touch either.
Right,
But
exactly.
That
Exactly.
listing that I got from my pop by, when I showed up, we made an appointment, like, I don't know, 3 weeks later or whatever. He still had that bag hanging on his doorknob in the kitchen from a year prior
Mm,
with my information in it. And when I got and I was brand new and I was so scared. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna ask me something I don't know. And so I had my little CMA booklet or whatever. And he brought out this booklet, literally 3 times as thick as mine, of this amazing CMA that this agent had done for him a couple of years prior. And I'm like, oh shit, that looks a lot better than mine, right? And you know what he said? It stuck with me to this day. He said, isn't this awesome? It's a great little presentation, but you know what? I never heard from her again. It was like, boom.
Yep. Good. All right. Good point.
Lisa Brackett, can I just ask you, are you saying pot by, like P-O-T?
Pop.
Pop.
Hey, Lisa,
Which
Lisa, I
Which
was gonna
Lisa?
ask you,
Yeah,
bracket.
Popeyes. You guys don't Popeyes, P-O-P.
did you, so I used to coach with Brian Buffini years ago and Joe Nego. So I don't typically hear Popeye, and when I do, it gives me euphoria from the good times with the little Irishman, Brian Buffini. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that guy, but it kind of sounds like you have.
Yes, I have his CRM, and I'm just, and I love it. That's why I haven't completely
You
integrated
do.
into Command.
Well, you kept saying it, and then you talked about plants and seeds. So I'm going through it. I'm like, in Maine, pot by means a whole different thing.
I was just
up here.
gonna say, you can
'Cause
tell you're
that's
from
legal.
Maine.
Hey, that'll work too. That could work. Hey, depending. Remember, you got to tag your database. You never know. It might be. You get your psychedelics in there. You could pop by them. Who knows? But I love that. I love the pop by. I know all about it. I know all
Any,
about it. I made a lot of money with that.
Anybody else? Any other
Will.
ahas or?
Will Van Wyck. Oh, no, too late, buddy. I had your spotlight. Too bad. You got to come up with something. Pivot, buddy. Pivot. Oh, no. All right. Anybody
He's
else?
chatting.
Oh, he's a chatty Van Wickler.
All right. Oh, if there's nothing else, we'll take it
I'll-
home.
Actually, I was just going to share some ahas, or one of the big ones that I
Oh, please do.
am
Please.
excited about doing. And I just had been meaning to ask, and the SA contacts, that's just going to make things so much easier.
Yeah.
So to just be able to kind of merge all of those different platforms, like I was saying earlier, with using the CSV file in Command to, just put everybody's name right in there. There's definitely ways to do it that are so much more time efficient and
Yeah.
easier. So that was a big one for me.
Thank you.
So,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and-
guys very much. Appreciate you.
The, and there is other services. I mean, we've got one here in Portland. I think it's for KW throughout the region, but that will upload your contacts into Command for you for free. Jordan, do you, Scott Leroy Marketing, is that a regional thing or?
That is a good question. He is the person you want to be communicating with. If Teresa or Whitney could put that in the chat, if it's, I would check with your market center to see if Scott Leroy is somebody that is affiliated. I know that he's an independent contractor, so check with your market center and see if that's a resource for you. And if not, I'm sure that he has a service that he would offer to you for a fee.
All right, so we're gonna take this home. Daily success habits. So 3 hours of lead generation a day is what the doctor prescribed. The doctor in this case would be, our boss, Mr. Gary Keller, who thinks, I personally believe if I can do half of what he says, I think I'm probably gonna be okay and fairly successful in the business. I will tell you, like, from my personal perspective on this, like that 3 hours of lead generation, yeah, I absolutely believe it. Make it fun. Like literally, like put your own sauce behind it. Like have an accountability partner. Do something fun. We've done team call days where we all get together and we just hit the phones for, the entire day. I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can do to try to make this enjoyable. I can tell you in my personal, I've got pretty severe ADD. Man, if I just got to sit down and do one thing for 3 hours, I'm going to go bonkers. I don't think I could. So you got to kind of break it up. Like I'll hit the social media a little bit. I'll hit the phone a little bit. I'll hit the email a little bit, break it up, kind of have some spontaneity to it, and make it your own. So, here are some, I chatted a little bit. I kind of paused there because I was expecting Jordan to come in with something. So I guess my,
Nailed it.
my handoff wasn't good, or I did. So,
You just did too well. You did too well. I couldn't, how was I supposed to add to that? It's perfect. Beautiful.
So, here are some things to really kind of set your career on fire. So, 10 contacts added a day, 10 conversations a day, 10 handwritten notes a day. So Jordan talked about handwritten notes. Can anybody tell me the last time they got a handwritten note from anybody for anything? Ever? We use a service called AM Cards. A is in Apple, M is in Mary Cards, and it's an electronic, we go in, we have an account. They actually send a physical greeting card with a stamp, your logo, everything. We mail it right out. It's about $1 a card. So it's not handwritten, but it's still personal. 10 home previews a week. It becomes really easy to have a conversation with somebody when you're talking about something you've seen in the marketplace.
And I would back up and speak to that handwritten note, guys. I mean, personally, for me, I get a lot of text messages. If you look through my phone right now, there's probably 100 of them I haven't opened yet. Emails, there will be most likely 500 to 1,000 of them that don't get opened. If it's a personal note and it's written in pen and it's a little dirty because it's been through the mail, it has 100% success rate in being opened. 100% open rate for me. And we had talked about the pop-by that Lisa was handing out and how that just hangs around. When I send that stuff to a seller and I go to their house for the listing appointment, that personal note's sitting up on a mantle. They cherish it because it's very unique. So if you want to get in contact with somebody, text messages, emails, phone calls are probably one of the next best things, but they don't always get returned. But 100% open rate. I'm speaking for myself, and I think that a lot of people would identify with that. Somebody said their mom gave them a card. She's 80 years old. I bet it was pretty sweet to get a card because you know what? I get a lot of junk mail. I get a lot of bills. Man, I love getting bills. I can't wait to open that. Hey guys, you think I open up all my bills? No. If somebody sends me a personal note, it's pretty special.
Yeah. Does anybody think that this slide is too much to do? I mean, your Keller Williams region is putting a slide up here that says, hey, if you want to set your career on fire, do this.
Mm.
I'm going to pause while you all take a photo of this screen or write it down. The question, here comes the question to your goals that you put up there at the beginning of the class. The question is, are you going to do this next week after this class? Or are you going to start tomorrow, or are you going to forget about it? All right, so part of the lead generation, again, you know, Jordan talked about this. It's you know, identifying the objections. I said to you in general, there's 4, 5, or 6 objections that just get worded differently. That's fairly accurate. You got to understand people's motivations. This is still even in commercial real estate, it's still a very emotional transaction. People are coming at this, you know, this contemplation of a real estate transaction from an emotional perspective. And making the decision even to sell or not sell a piece of land, certainly to sell or not sell their home or commercial piece of real estate is still motivated by emotions. What are some motivations or emotions that somebody might be going through right now that would contemplate or consider them to sell?
Loss of job, hardship,
Transfers, job transfers,
divorce,
divorce, death.
illness.
Here's one that doesn't get really talked about, but I sold a house last year to for a friend of mine, and it was tapping the equity of his home for fear of a greater recession. He wanted money in the bank. He downsized early because of the market being up so that he could have a cash reserve in the bank.
How about we go to the other side of the spectrum? Successful job promotion, more income, new baby, need another room, a new marriage.
Yeah. Doing
Kids
really
moving
well,
home.
had 2 or 3 good years and wants to upgrade. Wants to go from a $600,000 or $700,000 house to $1.5 million. Won the lottery.
How about wanting a house on the lake so you can do more fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah, won the lottery. I like that one. I'm still waiting on that.
Yeah.
I guess I got to start playing the lottery, but I've got my high hopes. One of these days.
So what
Don't
are
play
some,
it.
so when you're having these conversations with people and you're nurturing them, or you're sending them on the smart plans, you set them up on the smart plans and they're getting some information, those smart plans may be tailored to some of these emotions.
Mm,
How's life? How's business? How are the kids?
Mhm.
I mean, you could tailor your smart plans to play into these emotions. Here's one thing that I do really, I try to do really well, is to handle the objections inside of my presentations. Like, I already know what they're gonna be. Let's talk about them real quick. Let's get them out of the way before we even get to the end of the presentation, and I ask them if they have any questions. Do you think you could tailor a smart plan to handle some objections on the front end? What do you guys
That's
do
a-
for marketing? Tell me, what are you gonna do for me with that commission that I'm gonna pay you?
mm.
Maybe we might talk about the marketing plan that we're doing inside of the smart plans or inside of our listing presentation in advance before we even get to it.
That's a great point, Kevin. My pre-listing packet, it took me years to develop because it ties in with my scripts. And so to make these listing appointments very simple, I have a process. And so they get the pre-listing packet, they get a hard copy prior to me getting there. I have them fill out a questionnaire prior to me getting there. And when we're at the table, it's, hey, I value your time. I sent you that pre-listing packet because I want this meeting to be about you and how we're going to achieve your goals and dreams. I don't want to sit here and talk about me the whole time. However, it's important you know my strategies and my value. So did you have a chance to read through that pre-listing packet? Yes, we did. Do you have any questions about my service? No, we don't. Did you see the references? Yes, we did. Did you get a chance to call any of them? No, we don't need to do that. Great. Well, I'm feeling comfortable with you. Are you feeling comfortable with me? Sweet. Do you feel confident in my ability through my strategies to be successful and get you to where you want to go? Yes. So later in that conversation, well, what are you going to do? Oh, I apologize. I thought you had read that. Oh, yeah, we didn't really read it. Okay. So let's open up page 6. Let's all say a prayer and let's get through this, right? So simple, not easy.
Yep. And so, we have terms inside of the real estate that can get very complex. So we want to speak in terms the customer can understand.
Mm.
The other thing that we want to do, and I said this earlier, is communicate with them in the manner in which they like to communicate.
Yeah, because sometimes, Kevin, the reason I do that is I'm also gauging their disc profile. Through this whole process, you're learning how to communicate with them. And sometimes I would say, did you get a chance to thumb through the pre-listing packet? Oh, yes. Okay, do you have any questions? And they go like, yep. And it's like got sticky notes and it's all like scratched up. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So now we know who we're dealing with. So that's part of that process. Are they lackadaisical? Are they really nervous, or are they like, forget it, I don't care, man, where do I gotta go, let's go. Okay, great. Hey, all right, let's go. We don't have to talk. I don't care about how your vacation went. Let's just sign a contract then, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to talk to you. I just want to get this thing done.
Yeah, if you come to a listing appointment for me and you start talking about, all of the things that you're gonna do and da 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 da, like, you're gonna lose me within about 30 or 45 seconds.
Right.
Okay.
Pre-listing packet. Make it
Right.
smart
Send it
plans.
to
I
me.
love that.
Tell me what my bottom line is, and do I trust you? Yes, I'm gonna sign right now. Let's go. We're done in 15 minutes.
Done. Press hard, cheap carbon. Sign here.
All right. So compliance, do not call, subscribe to the registry, update your call list regularly, know the laws, check before you call, and honor their requests. So we've talked about the do not call list. I filled you in. If you have any questions, please check in with your PC coach, your ATL or assistant team leader or somebody in your market center on this. We've talked about how to add people into the database. We've talked about practicing. Find somebody to help you, right? Like when I mentioned having an accountability partner, Will was shaking his head, yes. You know, I think it's critically important to find somebody inside of your market center that you can communicate with and talk about the struggles and the trials and tribulations that you're going to encounter, because it's gonna happen. Let's rip the Band-Aid off right now. Somebody's gonna tell you something that you're not gonna like to hear, and they're gonna use foul language, and they're gonna hang up on you. You know, you're gonna run
Especially
into,
when they're talking to Christopher.
they're gonna run into challenges. It's important to have a support system around you that's willing to, and there and ready to help you. There's enough people inside of your class, inside of your market center that's new that you can communicate with. And I would argue that there are leaders inside of your market center that are willing and able and ready to help somebody.
Hallelujah.
Jordan, you can speak to this. I don't know what the Ignite checkpoint is.
Well, I think there's only one way to find out, guys. I think you got to take a picture of it, see what happens. I'm not 100% sure either, man. They kind of just threw us to the wolves, didn't they? All right, Will Van Wickler, why don't you go ahead and present here? Kevin and I are going to go grab a lunch over at the Chuck E. Cheese. Not really sure.
All right, well, it seems like everybody's done it.
Oh, you know what it is? I bet you this is where, because this is step 2, correct? So you all were in class yesterday or the last time. So this must mean that this is where you're at in the checkpoint. So your
Hey,
phone can register.
I think what Will just popped up, it looked like it had to do with presenter. Is that where you rate the presenter?
Survey,
Say whether or not
survey.
we did any good?
Did your contacts, daily two-way conversations, handwritten notes, aha moments?
Like these
Perfect.
guys literally just came in here and told jokes the whole time. We thought we were at like a stand-up comedy show. Where's the main event? I thought that was like the warm-up act.
All right, so get help. You know, there's a lot of resources. KW Connect is absolutely phenomenal. If you have not been inside of KW Connect, you could get lost for hours and hours and hours in there learning the business of real estate. I would just caution you with the knowledge that the work and working inside of KW Connect is working in your business, not on your business. And that's not dollar producing activities. So I just understand that if you go in there and spend 8 hours a day watching videos, you're definitely learning. And that's definitely something that I encourage you to do. It didn't produce any dollars for that day. It produced dollars for the future, but not for that day. So just balance that out with your daily lead generation activities. So eat the frog, bang out the 3 hours of lead generation in the morning, and then treat yourself to a couple of hours of, you know, learning and education inside of KW Connect, if that's the path that you so choose. You happen to be affiliated with and working for, in my opinion, the most incredible real estate company in the world when it comes to people willing to help the agents. So I put my information up. I know Jordan put his information up. You know, as it constitutes lead generation, we're here to help. If there's anything that we can do, we're here. Jordan, you got anything to chime in on?
I'm just really grateful everybody was here today, and it was a pleasure being able to speak to the Ignite group. I've been an agent for a long time and have shifted my focus to leadership, and I'm really excited to be on such a championship winning team. I mean, this is a Super Bowl championship brokerage that we're working with here. And so look forward to meeting everybody else. And if you want to shoot me a text, I'd love to connect with you. I'm on Facebook and all that good stuff. So check me out there. I'd love to interact with you. And if you can make it into our scripts and role play, man, that would be really cool to have even half of you come on in, and we have breakout opportunities. A lot of my ALC join, Kevin joins in every now and again. So a lot of good knowledge there, and you get a chance to role play with agents that are literally out there dealing with all of the objections and conversations that you're going to have to. So if you get a chance, we've got a Facebook group. We'd love to have you join it.
There's no reason not to be there unless you're on an appointment.
Will loves it. Will, you're a shining star. Thanks for coming in, Will, by the way. I'm really grateful you were here.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I just want to say thanks again. I mean, I'm happy to teach stuff that I feel very confident about. Scripts and
Dialogue.
lead generation in this model is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's pretty easy for me. But it's a learned trait. It's a muscle that I've trained over 2 decades in the business. So I don't want to begin to lie to you and say that I had this muscle trained from the beginning. But it is something that I've trained over time, and so it becomes very easy for me. I'm happy to help and train to this. And if there's anything I can do for anybody, please do. And I really, really would love to just open up and see if there's any final ahas or thoughts or takeaways that somebody had from any of the nuggets that we try to throw out today. Having said that,
Not all at
Success
once.
is simple, not easy. I love that.
great. So thank you, everybody. I think that's it.
Aw. That's it. Wah, wah, wah.
Well,
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Go make a big mess.
Thank you, guys.
Make your leadership clean it up.
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you.